Good
Evening.
evening. Yeah, sorry for being late. The situation here in Dakar.
Oh yes, definitely. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us. I know you guys are very, very, very busy. Rightly so.
Yes.
Last week we were supposed to have you. By the way, let me just introduce my other panelist, Mr. Musa Jeng.
Okay.
Is joining us from Atlanta, and I am here in Washington D.C.
Okay.
Last week we were expecting to join you, but all of a sudden we were sent message and say, "Oh well, Mimi was just arrested." I'm like, "Oops." but
Yes, that was
but
last Sunday. Yes.
yeah, but how are you? And giving the circumstances.
Well, unfortunately, yesterday evening we registered a third casualty in Ziguinchor after the postponement of the election. As you may have followed, the population of Senegal took the street to protest against what we call an institutional coup, because President Macky Sall extended himself as a head of state, violating the constitution, and that is not acceptable. So all Democrats, young people, women, are protesting countrywide. Unfortunately, as I said, with 3 casualties so far. So we stand. We would not allow President Macky Sall to take us backward. He was supposed to leave, and he's still supposed to leave, comes April 2nd. That's the end of his term. So we will not tolerate him one extra day as a head of state. So what the opposition, globally, civil society, even the private sector, unions, all call for election in due date, which is the 25th of February. In any case, he will have to leave by 2nd of April. That's the end of his term. So that's what we're doing. We're taking the street. We're protesting. A general strike is in the making, and we won't stop. And you may have followed that he has also closed down Walfadjri TV, which is quite an institution when it comes to media, because he didn't agree with the opinion. So this is where we are. We have to stand and defend Senegalese democracy. That's thanks to that democracy that himself, Macky Sall, became head of state, became president. So here he is violated, the same process that took him to power. So that's where we are. But we are doing good. As I said, our heart bleed because of the death of young people, and of course he will be accountable for that, because if he didn't postpone the election, they would have not been people demonstrating in the street, and they would have not been anybody killed. So now that's the situation we are facing, and we thank all the international community and our neighbors, our country, surrounding us, our brothers from ECOWAS. ECOWAS has issued a very strong communique. So did our main partners, the United States, the European Unions, and others. So we do have the international support, and Senegalese are up and arm to defend their democracy, and they ask for the election to occur. So that is the situation right now.
This is an unprecedented period in Senegal. I have watched, and historians have suggested this is the first time ever in the history of that country that elections are postponed or planned to be postponed by a sitting head of state. You know Macky Sall. You've served in his government as Minister of Justice. You've served as Prime Minister. What do you think is his thinking behind this move?
Well, it's very difficult to answer your question, because it seems like that's not the same man I used to work with. We were together fighting the third term of President Abdoulaye Wade 12 years back. And after 10 years, he had in mind to run for the third time. That's where we separated, because that wasn't tolerable. Remember that less than 2 years ago, I was the head list of Benno Bokk Yakaar, which is Macky Sall's coalition. But immediately he had in mind to press on for a third term, which I totally disagree. This is our head of states in Africa. I think they have hard time leaving power. They just want to overstay. So my submission is that we need to really reform our institution, our institution, to give them just less power. We need to put more check and balances. So the president doesn't feel like he's a king, because they behave like king, and that is no longer acceptable. We had hope in President Abdoulaye Wade when he came. Same story, and then Macky Sall again. So what is wrong, I think, is to be thought within our own institution. We have what we call here the hyper-presidentialism, which tolerates everything to the president. He has all the powers, and that needs definitely to change with the coming president. That I think that's where the problem comes from. And then, as African, chiefs, they have a very bizarre understanding of what their role is. The minute they come, the family invade the state's space, and they start, running family-like businesses, forgetting that they're here for all Senegalese. So that also need to change. When I was a parliamentarian, I proposed a law that would forbid or some family members to take public responsibility, meaning sons, daughters, brother-in-laws, and I think that's what got me into trouble. And Macky Sall just fired me from the parliament, which is unheard of. The principle of separation of power has been violated. But anyway, we are still standing and fighting for Senegalese democracy.
Musa.
Yeah. Good afternoon, President Aminatta Toure.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the 40 People by the People. I have to say, President, that I've been following you on Senegalese media, whether it's Jacalo or Framfanche. You always come across as a woman of substance. And not only that, intellect, and also not talking about the courage that you've demonstrated. So in as much as we don't follow Senegalese politics closely, I mean, you are somebody that every female out there should be proud of. But I want to press on the same question that my colleague was asking, and maybe you can help us out. You were part of the Macky government for 12 years. The man has done great things in socio-economic development in Senegal. Anytime I fly into Senegal, I'll be like, wow, these people, this is a country on the move. You're talking about the democratic credentials. Senegal was still well respected by the international community. ECOWAS. When you talk about looking at our sub-region, whether it's Burkina Faso, whether it's Mali, Senegal always stand out as a country that they respect democracy. Why would Macky, why in God's name, would he jeopardize that? What is behind, what is about him? Because you were there with him.
Yes, at some point your entourage plays against you. And I think that's what it is. Whether it's your family, all the old timers who, don't know anything but politics. They got afraid of the vacuum, maybe, how they gonna even survive without you? So they're the one pushing you on the wrong side of history. That's what it is. And I found myself alone in his entourage telling him, Mr. President, don't even think about a third term. This is not going to pass. What Senegalese people didn't accept 10 years ago, why would they accept it now? Just organize your party, choose one candidate, and let the Senegalese choose who is going to be the next president. Well, and then you are alone, and you do have hundreds of people who do have their own interests at heart, not the interests of the nation. And it's very difficult to resist as a sole man. When that's your family, your wife, your brother-in-law, and all these people who are pushing you on the wrong way, it's difficult to. So the solution is to have a law that would protect the same president I'm talking about. If your wife say you have to do this, you say, no, the law cannot allow me to do this. So that's the only way I see, how we can solve this issue. Because, in Africa, our presidents see themselves as African chiefs, not like democratically elected president.
Right.
So that's the problem. No, really, that's the problem. So, and sometimes I feel amazed because Macky Sall himself, he fought Ablaye.
Yes.
For the very same reason.
Correct.
For the very same reason. So why on earth would he do exactly the same? Because we do have absolute power in the hands of those people. And as you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think that's what it is. And I witnessed that over the 10 years. We spent 10 years and 6 months because I've been in the opposition for a year and a half now.
Right.
And I saw that happening little by little. And of course, the red tape was the third term. When he said third term, I say, hell no. Because, I cannot look my children in the eyes and tell them, yes, Macky Sall should do a third term. And now for 10 years together, I've been saying that we're going to respect the Constitution. President Macky Sall said he will never, run for a third term. And I would just flip. No, I cannot do that. As a matter of principle, no. And, also in our continent, of course, we have many issues, health issues, education issue, infrastructure issue. But the most serious issue we have is the crisis of ethics and moral. That's the bottom line. Why our president would not respect the words? Why would they say the party? They would say the nation before the party, and you end up doing exactly the opposite. So that's the problem. This is ethics and moral. But we can fix it by the laws. But at the same time, we have to see who are we putting there in the chair of a president. That's also is, it speaks to how we are going to educate also our people to do the good choices. I have witnessed myself. That was during the municipal election. One of the mayor here in the suburb of Dakar,
right,
he came out of jail 4 months before the election and he won. So how do you explain that? So that's our problem here in Africa. We have to resuscitate ethics and moral because we have lost it. Because we were put into the capitalist system and we don't have the means to compete. Everybody want an iPhone. Everybody want this very expensive boo-boo of ours. Jesner, we want a big house. But our economy cannot afford that. We don't have it.
Absolutely.
So it's difficult. And when you try to be modest, people will say, would point a finger at you. Look at this poor man or this poor woman. She doesn't even know what teranga means. She doesn't dish money out.
Right.
So they push you to steal almost.
Yeah.
So it's a very profound for me issue that we still didn't handle the way we should. But it's a long-term process. But the immediate process is to reform our constitution and contain the power of our presidency.
So talking about that, I want to play the devil's advocate in terms of why these elections were suspended, according to Macky. If you were president, let's say, for instance, he's saying that the constitutional court that was responsible for the elections, that somebody was bribed by the prime minister, who is also a contender. If that is true, that the prime minister actually injected himself and then bribed one of these judges and Karim Wade was disqualified, do you think that should still give him the powers to suspend the elections, to look into that? Or do you think that's just an excuse? What's your take on that?
Okay, let me tell you that myself, I was a candidate. We have this system of sponsorship. You have to have the signature of Senegalese voter between 44,000 to 58,000. Let me remind you that I led that operation for Macky Sall twice when he was seeking a second term and for the legislative election. So I know how to find sponsorship and how to do it. I came with an impeccable sponsorship of 58,000. Impeccable. They told me, well, you know, you come and you bring the paper, the sheets, which is we have to put it in a trunk because it's a lot of sheets, and you come with your USB key. You would go to the law room of the Constitutional Court. That's a council, Constitutional Council. They would count with you. They would put your USB key in their computer, and they will sign you a receipt. Okay. I had sponsorship in all the 14 regions of Senegal, and then they ran a draw. You know, and then we came 66. Okay, my representative went. Mind you, the USB key remained in the office. Huh? We didn't go back home with that key. We had a copy of that key. That's it.
Right.
They put it in the computer and they say, hey, one of your region is not here, Saint Louis. I said, but look at the receipt. They said, well, you know, let's move on. So they remove all my sponsorships of Saint Louis disappear. Although they delivered me a receipt saying that they were there in the USB key. I said, what? He said, why don't you open the trunk? You'll find the sponsorship sheet in it. They refused. After that, they told me 13,000 of your sponsors cannot be found in the file. Remember, I told you that less than 2 years, I was the head list of Benno Bokk Yakaar. According to the law, 10 days before election, you have to receive the electoral file. So I received the electoral file legally. And I checked all my sponsors against the electoral file. They were all there. In my request before the Constitutional Council, I told them, but here they are. You know, they said, no, we don't have time for that. So I was cheated myself.
And that's,
so
that's the Constitutional Council.
Of course. So
yes, okay.
I was cheated myself as a candidate. I should have been in the ballot for sure. But yet, when we wrote to President Macky Sall and told him, you need to talk to the Constitutional Council because you are the head of the Conseil supérieur de la magistrature, because there is no institution above the Constitutional Council. He didn't answer. He waited until Karim Wade got his problem. Then he wanted to stop the process because he had a deal with Karim Wade. So now here he is accusing his, I mean, not him, but at least his party voted along in the request of PDS, the Democratic Party of Abdoulaye Wade. They're the one who filed the request for an investigation committee within the parliament. They cited Amadou Ba as the one who bribed 2 judges. Okay.
So, ma'am, if that is true, though.
So no, let me come. And then what happened when he postponed the election? He said, I have full faith in my prime minister. The investigation committee, you will never hear about it any longer. And they agreed to postpone the election. And you know why he postponed the election? Because there was no way Amadou Ba could win. The polls were appalling. That's what it is. Now he's looking for a second candidate. That's what he's looking for. That's why he won 9 months. But no way. So myself, I prefer to be sacrificed because I remain, you know, only law can save us. I have been Minister of Justice, Attorney General.
Correct.
According to the law, the decision of the Constitutional Council is the final. Is final. So
even if it is corrupted, you still think that the process should continue?
I think we should carry on, and we're gonna solve it afterwards. That's what I think. They spoil it. Somebody who spoiled the process, I don't believe you're gonna fix it. That's what I think. Because who is organizing the election? That's the Minister of Interior. They're the one giving the right file to the Constitutional Council, which they didn't. So who appointed the Minister of Interior? Isn't it Macky Sall? So Macky Sall say, I'm going to fix something that I have spoiled. I don't believe you. Let the next president fix it. That's what I think. Let's go to the election. The president that will be elected will continue this investigation. All people who were involved in cheating will go in front of a judge. That's how I see it. Otherwise, we will get into a no man land that is very dangerous, because after 2nd of April, and we don't want that. After the 2nd of April, Macky Sall is no longer a president. So who is going to lead us? Who?
That's a problem.
That's my position.
Much respect. Samba.
On the 2nd of April, Macky Sall is no more going to be able to lead us because his term would be expired. So Senegal is entering into a serious constitutional crisis. You are a lawyer, Dr. Aminatta Toure. You serve as Attorney General. You are in 2016, we call it an impasse in the Gambia. Senegal now has its impasse too. What would happen if Macky continues on this trajectory? He has the military at his disposal. The people are in the streets. Young people are dying. April 2nd would come. His term would expire. There is no way that somebody can remove him there. What do you see happening? What is legally possible that can be done? Is there anywhere in your constitution that says that if such a crisis happens, maybe the Minister of Justice or the Speaker of the House or somebody would take over until a certain period? What does your constitution say? What is the way out of this mess?
That's why we don't want to get there. We are only 11th of February. So we don't want to get into that impasse, as you said, because the Constitution has no provision for a president who doesn't want to go. There's no provision for that. He just has to go. So that's why people are taking the street, people are demonstrating, and the international community condemned unanimously, this postponement. So we still hope that he's going to be reasonable. We have put a request in front of before the Constitutional Council. There are 7 people. We hope that they know that they have a historical responsibility in front of the country, and they will say the law. That's now what everybody's waiting for. And unfortunately, yesterday, President Macky Sall did an interview with Associated Press. And he has threatened the opposition. Like, you should come to my dialogue. Otherwise, some external forces, could intervene and all politicians would lose. I mean, he's calling for the military to take over if we don't want to have an agreement with him. So this is a shame. This is very shameful, because he came through a democratic process. So what do militaries have to do with, the respect of the Constitution? So that is shocking. That, for me, it is really shocking. So to respond to your answer, I hope we're gonna have election before Macky Sall finish his term, preferably the 25th of February. All the international community, including ECOWAS, which is not a very revolutionary body, as you know, but they have been very tough on him. And we hope that will put 2 cents in his mind and he will finally leave. That's our hope. And we are not only hoping, we are also demonstrating. We're going to go on general strike. Whatever we can do legally, we will do that. And hopefully the reason will prevail.
Now, the other conundrum that people see is that the National Assembly, your parliament, passed a law. It was strange in that they had to have the security people in there to whisk away those who were opposed to the law so that those who agree with the law would stay. What legal standings does that law have that was passed to extend Macky's term or to give him this leeway to postpone the elections legally?
It's unconstitutional, because Article 41 of our Constitution is saying very clearly that nobody can do more than 2 consecutive terms. It is very clear. Article 103 is saying that this provision cannot be changed. So this is very clear. So a parliament that goes and says otherwise by voting a law, that law is unconstitutional. That's why we challenge it in front of the Constitutional Council. So if we only respect the law, And yesterday, there've been all the big professor of constitutional law who led, the law faculty of university, Sheikh Anta Diop. They wrote an open letter saying that the council should read the law. And reading the law means nullifying the unconstitutional law that have postponed the election. That's where we are. If we just want to have peace and preserve our stability, and hopefully President Macky Sall has this concern in mind, let the Constitutional Council do its work, say the law, nullify this unconstitutional law, and the process we will carry on the process. We will restart the process. Okay, the campaign will be shorter, but the most important thing is let's go on voting day and vote for our next president.
So ma'am, I'm not sure how much time we have, because our people, they're all glued in and listening. It's an interesting conversation. I know you don't have time, but maybe we'll just do 2 rounds real quick, because people are really, really, really listening. I'm talking about Gambians in the diaspora. I mean, some people were talking about the role that our president, we're neighbors. We always talk about Gambia and Senegal. When we're in our situation, Senegal came. The reason why we have democracy today, Macky Sall and the Senegalese government played a huge role. What do you expect from Adama Barrow in this particular situation? Should he just keep quiet? Should he come out and say something?
He should have condemned it. He should have condemned what Macky Sall have done. He should have condemned it very strongly. And it's our common interest that we have peaceful countries. We are the same people, we share borders and everything, the same culture. So peace in the Gambia is peace in Senegal and vice versa. So he should speak up like the Gambian people are doing. There is a comedian here named Kucha. Yes, he did a show yesterday. He was mimicking Yaya Jammeh talking to Macky Sall, telling him, "Oh, brother Macky, you cannot do this because you remove me from power because I did exactly what you're doing." So it's a very funny show, but it tells. So that's what we expect, and that's what people are telling him. So you remove Yaya Jammeh because he wanted to overstay.
Yes.
So what are you doing? What on earth are you doing? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. From now to 2nd of April, although the election should be on 25th of February.
Correct.
We really hope that he will wake up, because maybe he's in a dream, and realize that what he want to do is impossible. It's been a week that he spoke. There is already 3 young people who died.
Right.
So how many people are going to die in 9 months?
Before you.
And he think he can sustain that? It's impossible. So he should just respect the law and go, and not threatening us with, "I'm going to be calling the militaries." So that is not dignifying at all for him, for somebody who has been elected through a democratic process.
So, President Aminatta Toure, you do have your distractors, and this is what they say, not my words, their words, that the only reason that President Aminatta Toure is talking like this, it was because she was removed during the legislative elections to be in the National Assembly. If she were never removed, she would still be with Macky Sall and defending even this very decision that Macky is making. They call it political opportunism. What do you say to your distractors?
Yeah, well, I am the very first political figures in the country that leaves privileges of government to join the opposition. Never occurred. I led his list, of course, because we have different position about the 3rd term. I didn't become the speaker. Fine. I was in the parliament as an independent parliamentarian. But because I was pressing some very serious issues, he had to remove me illegally. What you see in our countries is people, they stay in power, in privileges until the end. They're ready to lose their dignity. They're ready to change their conviction. Alhamdulillah, that didn't happen to me. Because the easiest was to do what all Apayer and Beno Bokoyakar are doing. They sit, they take the privilege, they take the money, and when Macky Sall goes, well, you try to do something else. That was my choice to leave the United Nations, where I was well paid. For 10 years, I contributed to, what Macky Sall was doing, building the infrastructure, as you said. I contributed as much as I could. That's why Senegalese people re-elected him. But the minute he decided that he wanted to overstay with the third term, I said no. I was the only one in the whole coalition to say no. Me, as a woman with my musor, all the men with the big boo-boos, and the dark suits, they were just yes men. It took a woman that was the only one who said no.
Right.
People were like, oh, but you are putting yourself on jeopardy. He will send you to jail. I'm like, so be it then. He launched an audit for me for 3 years because he thought that maybe he could, get me on that one. 3 years of auditing when I was the president of the Economic, Social, and Environmental Council. For 3 years. I stayed there for 1 year and 4 months, but yet he audited me for 3 years to find nothing. Nothing. So my answer to them is to say, no, I remain on principle. I was the only one who left Beno Bokyaka. Of course, when I didn't become the speaker, he offered me other position that was very well paid.
Right.
And I said no, because that's not the bottom line. I left the United Nations where I was a director, worldwide director.
Correct.
Much better paid than a Senegalese minister. Yeah.
Definitely.
So because I thought I would contribute to build the country with the little knowledge that I have, because that's what got me into politics. So people should believe that some people still around, who believes in their conviction and who don't just follow the money and who stand for democracy. I have the modesty to believe that I'm one of them.
You are indeed, Madam Aminatta Toure. Samba. So just last, I guess Samba would ask last, and then I do last, and then we'll let you go, ma'am.
I am very happy to hear you speak. Musa has been telling me Laya bias. Mimi is your star. He listens to you, and I am inspired. I like strong women, and I believe that you bring a lot to the table. There is something that you've said so many times, and that is your disagreement with Macky on his third term. I have argued, tell me I'm wrong, that Macky never wanted to leave. The circumstances made him to make that announcement that he was not seeking a third term, that it was not out of goodwill. And he said, I respect the constitution, I respect democracy, I'm not going to go. In fact, recently, during one of his meetings, in cabinet, he told them, they're saying, oh, he's gone. He's gone. Good, she might join us again, But
good, nice conversation.
I love this lady.
Yeah,
she is good. She knows
she's courageous. One thing about her, it's one thing, bro, to have all this experience and intellect, but also to have courage.
Yep.
And sometimes, like she said, not only our men are lacking it, women are too. Or women political figures.
And I think there is something that she said, and that has continued to affect our governance system, where people who surround you, they're jay, because to them, it's not about the country. It's always about themselves, And I remember making a video to Adama Barrow when he just took, there will be people who will be around you, their interest is to be close to you, not what is in your interest. Because at the end of the day, they will abandon you for somebody. Look at your cousin sitting jay. You'll be with Jammeh. As soon as it's gone, you're finding another one. The next person who will be a victim of your political expediency and all that. But no, definitely she is a breath of fresh air. And the good thing about Senegal is definitely great. And
there's something that she said, and I'm not sure, and I hope that this thing can be fixed. Meaning, if it were to go back to this consensus, I always have a problem with their name. Oh, is she back?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, she is back. I think she was. Okay, welcome.
So some are saying that
back.
maybe Macky Sall intervened in your internet connection.
Yeah, but like I was saying, yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, please, sir.
Yeah, no, like I was saying, Macky Sall's departure, I've always argued that it was not done Sichobarem. It was based on the enormous pressure that was put on him by the Senegalese people. And of course, recently, he re-echoed that by saying that those who were saying that he's doing this for a third term, they're not telling truth, is nonsense because, Mom, he voluntarily did not run, even though he was entitled to it. I've also argued that Macky is a dictator. What is your opinion about Macky's actions, his decision not to seek a third term, and his general attitude towards people and their democratic rights?
You know, Macky Sall wasn't this way when he was in the opposition and when we started. Mm-hmm. That's what I said. As we went along, and he realized that he was the most powerful person of the country, I think he got his ego inflated. He never wanted to leave. Why? Within the party, whoever would say Macky deserved a third term, he would clap. Whoever would say, like me, that no, he doesn't deserve a third term, was fired. Period. That's a clear sign. It took us massive demonstration for him to drop the ball. Officially, the government recognized that 16 people died during the entire third term demonstration. They had to do believe that it's more than 50 people who died. Not back off. And then an ICC, International Criminal Court file was opened with evidence. Then he had to back off. That's what it is. And I think he never swallowed, that. So how can you decide that you're leaving and then you're taking a law to extend yourself for 9 months? And you know what's going to happen if we accept it? Mm-hmm. Comes December, he will extend himself for 4 other years. That's what I do believe. That's what I do believe. So for us, it's a critical moment. I totally agree with you. He never intended to go. We had to force him to go. And it cost us casualties. We lost young people. And that we will never forget him. He has an open file in the International Criminal Court. We saw some militias firing at the crowd. This is documented. And this is very serious. So it's about defending democracy. You know, when I was in the opposition and fighting for the third term, you know, I received all kind of threats on. So we took the third term out of his hand. Then go fokati. Look at my better feel na talk. Donc ba tey noonu la nit ñi taxawee noonu la sénégalais yi taxawee liñ ko nangul wuloon ci 3e mandat duñu ko nangul benn bés extra at the head of of Senegal. And that's not me speaking only. That's yesterday I saw a picture. You know, I was about to cry. This was a old man. He was maybe in his 80s, holding the Senegalese flag.
Oh, that's what I have.
Asking for election. Mm-hmm. So that's the whole society. So who is, I don't even understand what he want to do. You are going to rule the whole country against our will, our collective will. How it's going to work?
Now, there are people who believe that there is more to this decision. Yes, there is this argument that Macky knows that he is going to lose. But there is the France angle who are conspicuously silent in this thing. There are people, cynics like me, if you want to call us that, who believe that maybe France is not too comfortable with anybody else but Macky running the country because of their fear that if they are to lose Senegal, they would have lost the whole of Africa. What say you to that?
Well, I mean, France should learn its lesson. It seems like it doesn't. Now the matter is in the hands of the Senegalese people. There is nothing they can do about that. If they were smart, which I believe they aren't, they would just wait for the Senegalese people to choose their president and try to build good relationship with him or her.
That person, yeah.
With that person. That's the only thing they can do. They should learn their lesson from Niger to Burkina Faso, Mali, and the likes. So that's the problem. It's an old-fashioned, type of relationship. Those times are over. They need to know that. The time where you can dictate and decide on the destiny of African countries, we don't accept that anymore. So I hope themselves, because they issued a very shy communique, maybe they will, change and be on the right part of history. They said that they support ECOWAS communique, which was a very strong one. So that's where it is. I think, they're even burning bridges. They should keep the option open. If I were an advisor to them, that's what I would tell them. Because now, what people want now, that's what matters. We're gonna go to the booth. What are you going to do? People will vote for an opposition leader. So what can you do? There's nothing you can do. So why don't you be with the people? That's easier. That's what I'm saying. So, there is nothing much they can do about people's will, and we will carry on, and that's it.
Yeah, President Aminatta Toure, if elections were, most people say that if elections were to be held, most people think it's either going to be Amadou Ba or Jumai, who is unfortunately behind bars. I believe that you know them both. You've worked with Amadou Ba, who is the premier minister. Some say he's technocrat, well experienced. What do you think would be in the interest of the country among these two candidates? Who would be a better person, whether it's politically or taking where Senegal is right now to the next level? I don't want to commit you, but most people are saying it's either going to be Amadou Ba or it's going to be Jumai. Fine.
Okay, let me tell you one thing. When I was the lead of the legislative elections, he was behind me, Amadou Ba, the very same Amadou Ba. Before that, he was my Minister of Finance when I was Prime Minister.
Correct.
He came into politics, into Macky Sall's party in 2017. He's not accepted by the presidential party. He cannot, well, he's the main reason why the election are postponed, because the poll, as I said, are appalling. His poll are terrible. Why? Because, let me, be patient with me. 2 years ago, we went on legislative election. I led the list. We win with a very tiny margin. We had 47% of the electorate. Okay? In between, I left. Boun Abdallah John, who was prime minister, the longest serving prime minister of Macky Sall, left. Ali Ngouille Ndiaye, who is very important in the Jollof, left, and others. So how are we going to make it? Himself, Amadou Ba, never won any election ever. Nothing. You know why he was picked up? Because Macky Sall didn't prepare himself for a candidate, because he was the candidate. That's what it is. But now the polls are so terrible that Macky Sall need a little bit of time to try to find somebody else.
Another candidate.
And maybe he wanna pick up Karim Wade. Who knows? Who knows? So that's where we found ourselves. So Macky Sall imported his political problem into the scene, the institutional scene, the state. He transformed his internal political problem and made them state-level problem. If you have a bad candidate, that's your problem. So why would you violate the constitution for that?
Yeah, ma'am. But my question is, and they're glossing over it, do you think that Jumai who people think that has a better chance of winning. Is he ready to lead Senegal?
No doubt he will win from the first round. I am supporting Jamai. I am in the Jamai president coalition. There is no doubt he's going to win because the Senegalese people want change.
Correct.
They want change. He will win. Well, he's young, which is I think that's a good quality. He doesn't have state experience. That's even better. Then he doesn't carry bags, you know. He doesn't carry bags. And we will work with him. Yeah, correct. And we'll work with him to give him the right advice. So I think having a young president who doesn't carry all these bags of corruptions and nepotism is a good thing. And then we will start from fresh and we will rebuild up.
Thank you very much, President Aminatta Toure. Pap Samba, I think we definitely appreciate this conversation, ma'am. And you know, for the people, by the people, we've been here for almost 10 years. We fought against Jammeh and bring an end to tyranny. That is why we call this program For the People, by the People. It's about people. It's about democracy. And that is why reaching out to somebody like you, a very courageous woman. And I hope that one day you will lead the Senegalese people, ma'am. We are definitely appreciate
thank you very much.
So any closing,
what I wanted to say is thank you very much for being so accessible. You don't know me from Adam, but I was able to call, leave a message, and right away, you did not even ask me what's the nature of the program, who is in the program. You said, I will come. And you're always very responsive. And I appreciate that. We appreciate that. And that is what leadership is about. And as to this fight, I just want to tell you that this silence of Adam Barrow is not a representation of the feelings of the Gambian people.
I know.
All of Jaine la Mustafka ko macha ko xam. We were there. We know how it felt. And we understood the role that you, the Senegalese people in particular, and everybody played to make sure that we are enjoying what we are enjoying today. So thank you for that. And in your closing, there are Gambians who are doing their own thing. There are people now, videos that are coming out. I'm a Gambian. I stand in solidarity with the Senegalese. Maybe if you have a word or two to tell those people, say to those people who are engaged in this campaign and the importance of what they are doing in the effort to have this globalized democracy in Africa will be very much appreciated. With that, I thank you so very much. Amulo Mboro.
Thank you very much. You know, I started by saying that we are the same people, actually. You will find Toure and Jeng and, you know, and Jao. You know, we are the same Gambia. That's the French and the English who came and separated us. So I very much appreciate the solidarity. That's what I said. We must enjoy peace, both countries. We have to, you know, build our brotherly relationship. And we also do feel the support from our Gambian brothers. And this show is one testimony to it. So thank you very much and God bless us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
And my congratulations for running this show for so long. And keep going. Keep going.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Father Moose.
Yes, sir.
That was a good one. And
yeah.
You know, I think if there is anything, it just shows me still there are people who are determined and would always stand for what is right, irrespective of the peril. Definitely, what is happening in Senegal, anybody else could have done the convenient thing because this lady was arrested the last time.
Of course.
And you know, our culture, it would have been, hey, Tata Mimi, if I'm nekk ni magga, danga wara bayyi bayil politique su ko defé, you know, you like bamti de la arrest. And you know, that would have been okay. But to stand there for the people, you see, like Dr. King said, an individual have not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity.
Right.
And that, to me, Musa, is what separates people. There are people who live for themselves, and there are people who live for community. Like I said, to somebody, a friend of mine, tell him what Maki dafa xeex ma ne ko Maki xeex. Maki did not fight anybody. Maki found a fight that he took advantage of to advance his personal district. Because if you fight for something, you believe in it, you will never betray that. Yeah. Now, if you are in it, in a fight, and then want to use it and betray that fight, you are not fighting a fight, you were taking advantage of that fight. And to me, that is what it is. But, you know, let's keep hoping alive, keep hope alive, and make sure that, you know, at least at the end of the day, we will have a democratic Senegal. Because we're going to continue to have these people, you know, acting like kings, like she said. And, you know, it's funny, we were talking about the Constitution. I was talking about how the NPP is complaining about the Constitution is taking powers away from Barrow, from the presidency. Right, and that's the same issue that you have in Senegal. You know, but, you know, it's great, definitely.
Yes, she was definitely impressive. And I'm glad now we really had this conversation with her, breaking it down. Like I said, I mean, I saw her on different Senegalese programs. I've been always very impressed with her. Definitely. And boy, like, I'm sure if my man Sariam was here, ask her about her resume. This lady, she has a very lengthy resume.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can guarantee you that. Huh? And Sariam, yeah, that's how I see him. And it was a hell of an interview. I'm glad we have that conversation with her. Now, the good thing is I'm hoping that there's an off-ramp for Maki, in other words, because if it comes down to maybe the Constitutional Council that have the final say, hopefully he can use that as the off-ramp. You know what I mean? And so that elections can still happen come February 25th. Like she said, it could be, I mean, a shorter campaign season, but that is better than allowing this thing to go on till April 2nd, and there's going to be this big impasse. And then, like she said, when people are out there and kids continue to die. But I also believe this a massive, like we talked about it last week, a massive mobilization. You know, we want our elections now. Because I mean, there are people in the opposition, they're kind of quiet. You know what I mean? Amadou Ba, one would have expected him, especially if he believed that the election should be held. He should be out there. And some of these other three RPR candidates that she mentioned, like Ali Ngunjai, this John guy, and then there's another third person. They believe that the election should continue, but they're very quiet about it. If all these leaders, 19 of them, were to come out, mass mobilization, ask their supporters, I have a feeling that he wouldn't have any other choice but to succumb or find a way of allowing these elections to take place, because Maki is beginning to get the pushback internationally.
Everywhere.
So this is a guy, I would think his legacy matters a lot to him. Why would you overnight want to kind of just undermine that?
And that's the thing. Musa, if you are in something with honesty, leaving it will not be too difficult.
Yeah.
Wherever nga defoon president Ajara tey and waxtu dem génn ngay buusante di seet naka nga fa toogee or seet ku la maybe Macky has something to hide and he is so scared of that coming out. This is a guy who people were doubting him could possibly become the next Secretary General of the United Nations and all that.
Bilai.
But then you are ready to just throw that all out the door. To me, he's never believed in this, Musa. But there is something Musa said. Have you noticed Macky Sall? All the videos that people are showing now, when he used to talk about and there is one thing that is constant in all those videos. He is lying. Sometimes it's a heavy body because he didn't believe in it. Listen, if you believe in it,
I mean, this is where I will slightly disagree with you.
Of course,
slightly, because I'm gonna know how. I think when he said it, he believed in it. There is something that the lady said. Pasamba, Bilai, our people, you've always talked about Siborukati. And I know at the end of the day, ultimately, the leader is responsible. But no, these people, they are poison. I'm telling you, you are surrounded with people, they help you get elected. These are people, they've always been with you. They have your ear, nobody else does. Bro, that can change Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm telling you, disciples within the caliphate, you don't know how human beings can just be say jabar people that are around you, your family, your political family, the people that are there, like she said, they're all yes men. I mean, they can have a huge impact on any individual. Even though you started out as a Democrat, you started out, I want to change and transform this country. You get to a point, and again, I'm not trying to excuse his behavior.
Salam alaikum. Yeah. No, Max is program, sir, because I don't want to thank everybody. And sister say, I think I owe you a phone call.
To
thank you for your service.
You're not on mood.
Because definitely at the end of the day, this is oh, so
it's all over the place. I mean, look, the point that I'm trying to make is that ultimately Macky Sall is responsible for decision that he makes. But let us not underestimate sometimes how people around you can really make you to be the worst and undermine what is supposedly in your political interest. And most of these people are doing it because of their interest. They are looking out for themselves. So ñoom ci seen bopp olu Sénégalais yi ñu wara la ñu lay mëna duggal ci guuta go xamne do xam no ci génné. And the lady even insinuated it. When I asked her, with everything that this man was able to accomplish, even politically, I mean, how Senegal is perceived internationally, I mean, the socio-economic development of the country, why would he risk all that to undermine that legacy? What did she say? She basically said, sometimes people that are around you, yes men that are all over the place, they can make you do stuff. Unfortunately. Now, I wouldn't excuse your responsibility as the leader to really do the right thing. And and it's unfortunate. Most of our African leaders and leaders in general, they can be very vulnerable when it comes to people that they surround themselves with. So if you surround yourself with people with different ideas, I mean, that they would debate before you make a decision. Right? And telling him, nope, I think, let's say Macky, when he was making this decision, I don't think there was a single individual who would tell him, Mr. President, I think this is a big mistake. I think this is a huge mistake. I don't believe it. The chances are, the people that are behind it, they go, oops, this is an opportunity. Exploit it, and let's do delay, delay, delay. And if we do that, I mean, because Macky, alors, gis nga fi Amadou Ba mi mënta gagné kii du mën a gagné kii alors deuxième tour sax dafa mën a dem kii Macky kii foo jaar def ci dara. They talk him into it. Go ahead, Sariang. I thought you're not here.
No, I'm here. I listened to Mimi for the past 15 minutes, and I think what we can all agree on, irrespective of who you are and what your political leaning is and what your political philosophy is, again, conviction matters, integrity matters, committed, selfless leadership. We have people who are very upright, still, despite their personal circumstances, they look at the greater good of the majority, not themselves. She talks about her experience working at the United Nations. When you ask her that question, saying, oh, some people are saying because Macky removed you and, now you all of a sudden you are standing again. I mean, I think her conviction, she also went further to buttress who she is, what values she shares, from her disposition, who she is as a person. She said, I was well paid at the United Nations. If you see me left that position to come in, and in terms of responding to call to duty, people keep having a misconception about patriotism. It's not about way, but it's about call to duty. Your idiosyncrasies, what are some of the things that you see from your personal disposition that you could do for the greater good of the grandkids, your brothers, sisters, especially those who are in dire needs? She talks about her being a female, where men are out there, they didn't stand up to Macky Sall, but she speak up, irrespective of the consequences. She knew that was not, she knew who this, because it looks like Mimi knows Macky left and right. Coach asked her, he says, you know, I don't know who this person is anymore. I used to work with him, but now I don't know who he is. I mean, you know, he talks about people around him, but I think she's quietly laid the blame and responsibility upon Macky Sall. And she did a great job of indicting him today on this program. And I hope everyone is listening. This matters, and it's a learning moment for all of us. Gambia, Senegal, if you stand for great, if you stand for integrity, if you stand for honesty, if you stand for your country, you don't need to relent. You don't need to back down because of the consequences. You need to keep fighting. At the end of the day, something great is going to come out of it. She laid out an ultimatum, and I like that. When we talk about military, she said, no, I'm not going to talk about all that. So our focus right now is to ensure that this man's mandate, as per the Constitution, is over. He unilaterally went out and extended. Our immediate focus is to ensure that the plurality of Senegalese, what they aspire, meaning election, constitutional mandate, transfer of power through democratic means. That's what we are focused on, and we want to ensure that that is executed in the best possible manner for folks to participate in a multi-system democracy. And that's what I took from her. You know what? Some of the things that she did, I'll go back into 2008 when, you know, I was watching Chris Matthews on MSNBC and Obama was giving his speech on at the Democratic Convention. He says, it kind of sent a chill on my time. But I look at this woman.
He had a problem with that, with that statement. They use it against him.
Some of the sound bites Mimi is making, but I kind of like, what are we missing if we had several Mimis, right? In Senegal, in Gambia, and you know, who is gonna stand to the status quo and push back? Who stands for conviction? Who stands not, I borrow Koji's word, Sibor cuts, and stand for things that's gonna make our country better. We will all sing the same song, obviously, polarity of us, and we'll keep fighting until we achieve what we need. I mean, this has been a problem, and I hope Senegalese don't relent. And this is a teachable one for Gambia too. We just cannot go with the status quo and what is easier in the immediate circumstances. We need to stand up and fight. Because this country of ours, 57 years I'm counting, we lack basic amenities. We lack, you know, infrastructure, correct infrastructure. We healthcare. We've seen the people who are entrusted, who are employed by the government, continue enriching themselves at the detriment of the masses. And I think this needs to stop. And I hope what I took from Mimi, this is a woman who knows what she's doing, but at the most, she has integrity. She's committed to ensure that even if post Mimi, whether Mimi is gone and the family is left behind, those people will enjoy the principles and the values that she shared. And that's what I took from her. And I hope she will come here again, whatever post, and give us an analysis. And I think, you know, for the Senegalese people, I'm telling you guys, got great people. Some of us will come out and speak like this, and intellectuals. I mean, this is what we've been talking about, not like somehow you need to be silent. You need to be, I think it's about time we sing the same song. We are all on the same line, and we push back on presidents who they went out to the people and seek a mandate. Post their disposition, they don't want to leave and they want to throw the country into chaos. I think it's very unfortunate. And great job for Mimi. And guess what? She was very, very eloquent, and very polished. So very impressive. And again, coach, your diplomacy, your negotiation is at a climax today, and it shows that you could make things happen, and it creates a sense. I think today, majority, we started with the invitation within Gambia. Now we kind of divert to having Mimi on the platform. Musa, it creates a different dynamic, and it's like day and night. So hearing the woman sitting here speaking and talking about conviction, integrity, commitment, you need to stand what is right. Don't bend, don't relent, keep fighting until you achieve what you want. So with that, thank you, sir. You guys did a great job. Thank you.
All right, sir.
It was good. And the thing is, most I apologize because there is an other meeting that I was supposed to attend, so I just jumped there. No, and you know what? I was supposed to be in a protest in downtown Silver Spring. Of course I cannot attend that. But I think it's good. And the good thing about it too, because we'll try to bring a lot more people here, and that's what we do every time.
Oh,
we try to reach out to people to come, because at the end of the day, we know we have opinions, but unless you have the people who are dealing with the matter directly,
right,
you're not going to do justice to it.
And like what we were saying, we were not just bring Mimi Toure here. We were also looking for somebody that we can bring that speaks for, Maki or PDS, that also have their own opinion of the matter. You see, just so that we wouldn't be holding briefs for either side. Again, I see Kini couple. There he comes again asking Mimi this. But that's what we need to do. We can't just allow Mimi to say.
Musa, I must say this. One of I know you both know this, but one of the ministers, former ministers, and I believe when you guys went to Gambia, you guys have an interface.
I'm not.
No, okay. So he always followed this program, and he texts me on WhatsApp and say, last weekend, and say, you guys claim you are independent, objective, blah blah, and he said you guys are inviting Mimi. You need to balance this out and invite the other side to listen. Okay. I just want to make sure I throw that out there.
We did talk about it, because
anybody who has contacts of those people, give them.
We were trying to see can lanyo muna indi that would at least really we did. I talked to Dembare. I talked to Fatu, just to be frank, honest, and she even suggested somebody. So she was supposed to send me a number this morning that we would reach out, so that Coco would come and basically do it a response or whatever. Again, we don't have a dog in the fight.
Let's put something in perspective, Sibo Pamsa. When we thought about having somebody from Senegal, man, I was trying to look to Damboj.
Yeah, you're Damboj now, exactly.
Then when you came with Mimi, I was able to get Mimi's number. And then I asked about Bas Camp, the Amadou Bas Camp.
Wow.
Which is
Fatu is working with.
And they told me that they could not say anything yet. That was that was the response that I got. Anything. So do we have to sit and wait until they can work?
No.
So it's not like we were those people that are saying that, of course, they love Maki, but they are now conflicted because they cannot defend what Maki is doing.
Nobody can.
We'll always try. Like, if you look at our show here, who have we brought here? We brought the government here. We, in fact, had the Minister of Finance come with his whole officials here to discuss. But anyway,
I asked her a question about, ask her a question about what they call it, Sufekene, this so-called, Constitutional Council. They were actually corrupted. especially the accusation, Amadou Ba interjected himself so that they can disqualify Karim. I mean, PDS, Suntu is saying something like that. PDS argument, Moine, look, the disqualification of our candidate, a major party in Senegal, we're not going to have it because this guy fulfilled all the requirements and we should allow the Senegalese people to have the final say. So PDS, their argument is, soon, but you heard what Mimi said. Look, I was also a candidate and I believe I was unfairly treated. And then I was disqualified. And you know what? That's what democracy is all about. You have a process in place. The process itself will not have problems. Why so decide they undermine the process?
Then you undermine the whole system. Of the process.
Then definitely system do am. I mean,
no,
people are not going to play by the rules.
Let's look at this the hypocrisy in this whole thing. 2019. Why didn't Karim run?
He was disqualified.
He was disqualified. Why didn't Khalifa Sall run?
He was disqualified.
How many times in Senegal have they disqualified a candidate?
And Maki,
brother is Nur. I don't know whether
you saw hey, no, that's somebody we need to bring. Somebody suggested that.
No, in fact, I'm going to now. I'm not go to guy. We have to bring Buba here. But what Buba said, and Buba is not parpar. Buba is like he tries to be as and what he said was, you know what, this whole Karim Wada thing is nothing but a pretext.
Yes.
The same reason, the only reason why this man is postponing the elections because he knows me. If they have the elections tomorrow, Jumai is going to win. And then he liked that. He said, and you know what he said? I like where he was. I'm like, where he is going with this. I produce the biggest shows here. I produce the biggest artists in Senegal. So man, I know what is good. I don't need anybody telling what the people like. And if you ask anybody, send Kerriek, send Litsingi, they will tell you that Jumai. So it is a known fact that this guy who is in jail, maybe Maki doesn't want to suffer. Can you imagine Maki sitting there on the 4th of April, and it is Jumai Fai coming with Nakalatura, Sonko sitting in front, Maki sitting there. He doesn't want to do what? Why does it about him?
He doesn't want to see that. He doesn't want to see that picture. But Pasamba, even when I came from Senegal, Manila man, based on my anecdotal, I can guarantee you, Pastef would win this election hands down. I haven't spoken to anyone who even suggests they will vote for Maki or Amadou Ba. And when you tell them any of these other candidates, Khalifa Sall, Bokuti Maki, why would they say Koku Jamla? They wouldn't even want to touch those people.
No.
So, I mean, it just, you don't really have to be a genius to see this thing. But again,
the sad thing, because I understand because this whole thing, the ripple effect of this problem, it needs to be resolved. Because I understand Dakar University has not been operational for about 6 months. I heard that somewhere. I'm like, that is crazy. And it all has to do because Maki does not want them to protest. Now you have the teachers and the professors have now said that, you know what, if Maki has not revised this decision, they are going to go on a national strike. They are not going to teach. So meaning the whole country is going to come to a standstill.
No, but that's good because
it's good. But what I'm saying,
in other words, the decision has to be reversed, and the only way it's going to be reversed, it's going to take pressure. Pressure he's getting it from the international community. That's one. Mass mobilization of all the political parties, all these professors coming out, I can assure you, the off-ramp, the way I see it now, his only savior, this constitutional council to come and say and override Maki's decree, elections are going to continue and we're going to have it February 25th. And Maki would say, you know what, the law is the law, and he would just have to swallow his pride.
I'll use that out there and say, you know what?
It's the only way.
Wow. Maybe you can. That's where you can come to a conclusion. This thing with the listen to give you enough time for campaign. Maybe the 25th. Let's make it to the what you might call it. Well, you cannot even do that. No, you can do that. A week or 2 weeks later.
I mean,
no, Tamambi la mutawanyi munduko. But they can come to a consensus, because we've lost a week of campaigning. So we'll just, instead of the 25th, maybe we'll hold the elections a week or 2 later. But you cannot add a candidate, you cannot subtract a candidate.
No, you cannot subtract a candidate, you cannot add a candidate. Yeah. Process without broad. But the only people that can do that mooy the people that were given the authority
to do
mooy
that.
this constitutional council to make that final decision. Te su ma doon
But
Macky,
this
I might
silly
as well.
thing. You know how you're accusing the prime minister of bribery, but then you went and reinforced your trust in him again. What the hell are you doing?
It's simple. This is where, and I'm gonna say it, you think Siboru Kadi dañ la jaxase all over the place.
He's not a
the guy
dictator.
was double talk. You cannot question it. The only reason why you postpone the election, mooy ne
Musa,
your prime minister, your
Nigeria
candidate.
score nañ nag léegi ñu génn fi la ñële.
Oh, fate wana soka bisa. All right, bon guy, there you have it.
The next Sunday, we'll try to bring
here.
maybe Jules Diop or whoever is in the Macky Sall camp.
We will be here next Sunday.
Maybe sa kosi bi nga war a indi sa Musa.
Kan la
Ala Diouf.
waaye nag Maître xaw ma fu mu far de moom waxoon na ne he had problems with this postponement, I think.
Baax na.
But anyway, but guys, thank you very much, and then we will be now back next Sunday, inshallah. And thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you.
All right, guys.
Toure.
Jërë leen jëf. Next Sunday.